This is the TheAndresSegovia Show.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Andres, and today I'm going to be covering more of your Unplugged questions, but this time from Rumble. So this is a Rumble edition of the Q&A, only Rumble. I was able to curate the questions that I got through Rumble, and I realized there are a lot of questions there I thought I got, but I missed. I had to manually go back to these videos and find them, and I did pull them up. We're going to go through them, and this is just anyone that's left comments on Rumble. I know some of them were more like spam stuff, but there's some really good questions there that did not appear, or at least I haven't seen, over on YouTube, so I think you guys would appreciate this one. But before we get into that, I just got this in the mail from 1775 Coffee. You're not familiar with it. Rumble ended up launching their own coffee company, but this is not coffee. This is their Power Up Plus. They introduced a bunch of new products recently, and this one's Fuel Your Coffee, Awaken Your Rebel Spirit. This is coffee creamer with a bold blend of whey protein, bamboo extract, and vanilla flavor. So this has 10 grams of protein per serving, 0 grams of sugar, and is keto diet friendly. It's going to be interesting. So vanilla flavored, there's 1775, the new packaging, also ingredients and nutrition label in the back. Well, I have my coffee brewed. Beanifier is what I'm drinking. This one is Geisha. This was like the first one to sell out. So when they did the second batch, I picked up a few. And again, they're not cheap. And they come from El Volcán de Santa Ana in El Salvador. So yeah, for those that didn't know, I am Salvadorian. Okay, so I'm going to open this thing up. I haven't opened it yet. Sealed. I'm going to taste test this in person. Well, maybe not live for you guys, but live for me. I'm even doing this with certain other products that I've received because I'm like, well, am I going to want to partner up with them? That's the question. And I don't like pushing products that I do not use. So do you ever get the scooper at the top of any of your whatever powdery things that you get? Because it's always a miracle when it's all the way to the top. I'm not a fan of creamer, by the way, but this one's supposed to be whey. Okay, sure hope so. A strong vanilla smell. Probably the bamboo too. All right, so this scoop is kind of small. I don't have a full scoop, but this is supposed to be one serving. One serving is 48 calories. Oh, no, wait. Serving size is 2 scoops. So here's scoop number 1. And I don't get enough protein. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I never had a protein coffee creamer. I'm willing to try it. So here I am trying it. And in the back, it says that clump free and easy to mix. Well, let's hope so. Here we go. Stir. Stirring. I don't see much of the clumping. By the way, I know how this coffee tastes, so I don't know what this creamer is going to do. Normally, I try to have my coffee, I would say about an ounce of milk in it. Let's taste. Just put the lid on this thing, and I'll be drinking throughout this episode. Okay, so here we go. Not really bottoms up on this one. You know, it's not what I was expecting. It actually has a better taste than I feared. Let me just say it this way. It tastes better than it smells. There is vanilla in here. The only downside to this creamer is that it overpowers the delicious coffee. This is a premium coffee, and right now I'm tasting the addition when I just put in there. So I'm tasting more of the vanilla extract, but I'm not really tasting the coffee. I know the coffee's in there. It tastes good. It's just not my preferred way of drinking coffee, if you know what I mean. Do I recommend it for those of you that are interested? Hey, if you're in the market, definitely try it out. So that's enough of the product thing there. You guys tuned in for the Unplugged stuff, right? Okay, well, just want to have a little bit of fun for this one because there aren't that many questions compared to YouTube. And believe me, I have not finished YouTube. I'm not going to go through the YouTube ones. And for those of you on X, I'm sorry. There's just really no good way for me to go back and find your comments. I tried. I'm like, I can't do an X edition of this. Rumble, this one is for you. All right, I'm gonna start sharing my screen here and I'm gonna add this to the stage. There we go. So I'm gonna be going over the video post that I did on Rumble in chronological order. That doesn't mean these comments came in that order, but that's how I'm gonna go through them because that's the easiest way for me to parse through the comments. I'm sure there's some spam in here somewhere, so I'm gonna try to avoid the nonsense. But for everything else, they're definitely posted to these videos. I did an entire playlist. So for those of you on Rumble, there should be the entire playlist link in the description to this video right there, so then you can see everything else that's on there. So this is Q&A Rumble edition, and let's get started. This is the one that started everything back on March 14th, towards the end of my exclusivity contract with Rumble. I was streaming exclusively to Rumble. This was, I think, the 27th day of the 30 days or the 28th day of the 30 days. So this was like at the very end. We didn't have to do any more streams, but I ended up doing this one because I heard James will keep talking about it. Fired up the camera, I had to cover it. So this was the first video I made. What is the Unplugged phone by Eric Prince? My most viewed video up until my review, and the one that Google tends to promote, not my review. So this one, this is the more rough version of it. I did do a more edited down version and added on some context because after this is when I found out about certain interviews that Eric Prince did to show that it has been something in conversation in certain circles for some time. It just wasn't on my radar until I saw this one YouTuber cover it. And the guy had like 500,000 views on that. He has a ton of subscribers, but it was mostly just trashing Eric Prince and the upcoming phone and company. So this is one of the first questions I got, and this is what turned me on to that. This is from Obi-Wan's. I just watched a Tucker Carlson interview with Eric Prince where one of the subjects they discussed was the Unplugged phone, and Prince said the phone was being manufactured in Indonesia. That's absolutely correct, because I found out later, because I wondered, is this coming from China? How's this work? Because there's concerns if that's the case. How about the supply chain and this and that? And Unplugged told me directly that they are building it in Indonesia, and that their units were coming from there, being shipped to Las Vegas for distribution. Okay, I think the older comments are they sorted by likes, sort by newest. Let me sort these again. Those are the newest. Let me go all the way to the bottom. Okay, so this is from Real Elite Tank 1776. There's two comments by him. The first one says it's Libert, pronounced like Liberty but no Y, and not like Gilbert. I know now, because Ryan Patterson, the CEO, told me it's Libertas. So Libert OS if you want. And then Real Elite Tank 1776. Also, if you watch the video, nothing in it is made in China. The only issue would be how you interpret where the semiconductors are built, because basically at least 80% of them come from Taiwan. So while they're built there, I don't know how much of that is entirely sourced from Taiwan for the semiconductors. Hoping that they don't, but when you consider that Foxconn and, oh my goodness, who's the other one? I guess Qualcomm, because they do have some of their factories there in Taiwan, but some of that stuff is also sent over to the mainland China to also source some of their parts. At least that's how I understood it. Okay, so now I already read the Obi-Wans, and now this one's from Marine Brat. Now Marine Brat is someone that I have seen comment over on YouTube, and I think he saw my video there first before he ended up going to Rumble, and ended up reacting to something that was, I think, older than what I had already put out. So when he found my videos, if I recall, it was, I already talked to Ryan Patterson and them, because if I understand correctly, Marine Brat was actually one of the initial testers of Unplugged when they had like 500 in the testers to test the initial device, and I happened to have one of those 500 devices that Ryan Patterson, the CEO of Unplugged, sent me. So this is the comment that he had left there 19 weeks ago. I think he meant to say I own. I own one of these Unplugged phones, and I've been told that the multi Prositor is not out of the CCP, and please know I am a data tester, and I am in the app messenger data chat room, and the company asked all the testers what they want in the phone, both physically and software. So everything that you see on the Unplugged phone physically and software was designed around the data tester like myself, and we data tester got the kill switch and the 2 terabyte for the micro SD card, I think it says, because there's a typo there. Since the SIM tray is a dual SIM tray and is not made in China, it has a built-in firewall to stop the tracking online. Okay, then do the White Room challenge. I challenge you to go to the White Room challenge. You said that anyone can hack into the Unplugged phone system. Then if you are going to do the talk, then walk the walk. I'm calling you out now. So I did see the initial post that he was making. So there's more of a summary of a bunch of posts that he was making on my initial take, like what is the Unplugged phone. So I did address him, and then he realized how much other stuff I was covering. So then he realized, okay, so I knew what I was talking about. So I did respond to him. He's like, I recognize you're using it for YouTube. Is this directed at me? And he ended up responding to me over on YouTube to explain to me. He's like, he was speaking in general, not at me to challenge me to do the white challenge. It's just some other people were claiming that the Unplugged phone can be easily hacked. They can get into the bootloader, wipe the entire phone, so then all your data is gone. So it meant nothing. And I think that was in reference to someone telling me, and I still don't have the link for it, that said that Eric Prince himself had said that the Unplugged phone is unhackable. So that's interesting to me. I believe more of the software might not be as hackable compared to the hardware. I don't know. I'm not in the cybersecurity space. That'd be interesting to see. And like Marine Brat says, go do the White Room challenge, because Unplugged wants you to do it. And they'll pay you to do it if you successfully hack it, and they'll pay you even more if you explain to them how you did it. So it's not like they're trying to hide. They really want you to phone them. There's a place called phone.com. It was started by someone from Microsoft to show if you've been hacked online via your phone and things like that. Pretty scary stuff when you realize that, holy smokes, that's how much of your data has already been taken. I don't want to get into that subject on this one, because then I'll just go down a rabbit trail and won't come back out of it. Okay, so let me go to this next one. That's the end of those comments for that one. So let me go to this video. This one's from my exclusive unboxing and first look at the Unplugged phone. So let me sort this by the newest. That means go all the way to the bottom. So this from Dear Sarge. Nice to see that we may finally have some options for phones. As a non-techie guy, and my only question is, what will the major carriers allow consumers to purchase their own phones to use on their networks? I heard you mention that Verizon is still working on approval. Not sure how long that takes, or even if it's guaranteed. That's actually a great one to talk about, because a lot of people have still been asking Unplugged, what's up with Verizon? I can't share with you all the details, but what I can tell you this is that they've been after certification from Verizon. And this is something I do know because of the engineers that I have met with at Verizon before Unplugged was a thing. I've been to their headquarters that were located over here in Irvine. They invited me to something before they launched their 5G. And it was nice to see that I was probably the only one there that was asking the actual important questions, because those engineers were bored out of their minds by everybody else that showed up that were just asking gimmicky stuff that they really more on the user end of things. I was more interested in how 5G will work once it's implemented. So I was able to get to talk to these guys before they were really rolling this thing out nationwide. So I knew what was expected to come. So some of these guys even told me that I think you're familiar with this. When the iPhone launched, the iPhone didn't work on Verizon. There had to be a specific iPhone. Well, now, if you go to the Apple store, you buy the iPhone from there, you can just put in a SIM from anywhere here in the United States, and it'll work pretty much on any of those networks. Okay. So technically what some of these engineers were telling me that, hey, look, we know some of these BlackBerries are only for GSM networks. We'll be straight up with you. They work on Verizon too. They just don't bother with them because in those days also the carriers to be directly involved with what is called the enterprise server or the internet server you were a consumer, and that did require some involvement from the carriers. That there were a lot of resources they didn't want to give to it, but there was a way to work around to get your GSM device working on Verizon networks, because technically Verizon was a hybrid of GSM and CDMA. CDMA was one of the older technologies, but the more reliable when it came to voice and text. That also applied to Sprint, but less reliable because it was Sprint. But that's what those two were known for. And T-Mobile and AT&T are on the GSM networks, which at the time was like 80% of the world. Verizon has pretty much gone away from CDMA at this point, but you can still go back and find that if you get like a Verizon Pixel 2, for example, that will work on Verizon, and it should work on other carriers, but the same can't be said of those other carriers having Pixels and trying to bring them over to Verizon. They will not work, and even sucks even more, freaking Verizon won't let you unlock the bootloader. That's why I can't freaking flash like Helix or Graphene onto the Pixel 2. But anyway, so that's all to say that there is so much involvement with these carriers when it comes to bringing phones on that they will sell. That doesn't mean you can't take an unlocked phone. Say you got one from overseas, came to Verizon, got for some reason decided to use a prepaid SIM, and because they do have that, and then use it that way. Technically, you can. I had an active SIM, that's why I was able to use the unplugged phone on Verizon for my testing. Now, the thing is, let's say that you want to get a new SIM. Well, to get a new SIM, or you're going to use the eSIM with Verizon, now it's a different story because they need to have a white list of devices because there's something called IMEI, the serial number of the device, the serial number and the IMEI. But the IMEI is basically the identifier of the device. And if it's not popping up in the clean list, the white list, that means it's not approved to be used on the network, technically speaking. That doesn't mean it won't work. That just means they don't really care. But neither was the Microsoft Surface Duo, and I use it on Verizon. They're just not responsible for it, see? So that's why I knew I was going to be able to use this. That's how I knew a GSM device like the BlackBerry Key 2 Red Edition, which was not made for Verizon, I used it on Verizon. You can go back and find those videos when I did the Tech Corner way back when. So that's all to say that you kind of have to grease the wheels if you know somebody at Verizon, and I know that Unplugged has done their job to go through the process with Verizon, with AT&T, T-Mobile to try to get approved. And I have to, if I were a betting man, I would say that there's a lot of politics at play for why there at first was mentioned that the Unplugged phone works at AT&T and T-Mobile, and it almost came across like it was officially working there and they were working on approval for Verizon. And in some of my older videos, you might be able to find it, that Unplugged actually changed the text on the listing of the phone where it says that they're working for approval. And that had a lot to do with these carriers rejecting the eSIM off this phone. Some of you even commented on my YouTube videos saying that, no, AT&T is not taking my Unplugged phone. They're rejecting the eSIM. I'm like, that's interesting. I recommend you get in touch with Unplugged to discuss that. And I was finding out that while technically they were certified, they haven't been greenlit on the whitelist, so they're not appearing on the whitelist. And like, well, what's the holdup? Is it bureaucracy? Is it politics? I'm going to lean towards the latter, that I feel there's politics involved here, because for the most part, even before Unplugged launched their first product, they've been under ridicule because it's all been political. That's why their biggest partner, and they just recently strengthened their strategic alliance with them, is Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is one of the resellers of these giant companies. Okay, they didn't go out and make their own towers. Neither did all this Pure Talk and other ones. What is it? Cricket, Mint. Oh my God, what's that on? Simple. These guys didn't go out there and build their own towers. They're buying traffic from these towers. It could be T-Mobile, AT&T, and things like that. And then they run their own. They're using all that traffic there. And because it's not AT&T, it's not T-Mobile, technically the traffic isn't as prioritized as direct T-Mobile and AT&T customers. So your experience with bandwidth and traffic speeds will vary. They'll technically be slower than those that are paying as AT&T and T-Mobile customers. Okay, so that's how that all works. And the thing is, because when you're using like a a Patriot Mobile or Pure Talk and things like that, they hand off towers. And if you're in a place where T-Mobile works better than AT&T, those carriers can then switch them for the better coverage. That's one of the advantages to be able to use a carrier like that. But remember, like I said, the traffic for these companies is not as prioritized as directly AT&T or directly T-Mobile. You're just, switch to this other one. It's kind of like VPN. You're going to use a different server. Then that's what VPN pretty much is. Same concept in taken away. Here, you're just bouncing off different towers. Some of them work on Verizon, other ones don't. Just letting you know, there are some prepaid services that work with Verizon. I don't remember which the name of the company is. And Verizon did have one of their own companies to that extent too. But anyway, that's just all to explain what this was really getting at, because Verizon has to this day not approved it. And quite honestly, Verizon is behaving a little bit of a tyrant when it comes to these things. They really want to control what goes on. Do you guys remember that Verizon used to force their stamp on every single device that was out there? It was so annoying. That's how tyrannical they were with phones, as if they're the ones that made it. And then Verizon complained whenever their tech support would get calls from people like, I need help with my phone. And they were getting technical. It was either Android or iOS or WebOS, which was the Palm devices or the Windows phones or Blackberries. And these engineers, these guys don't work on the phones. They just work on the service side of Verizon, but they were trying to figure out how to help the people. And they were busy in the background going through different forums like XDA developers and things like that, or going to the Crackberry forums or Android Central forums or Windows Central forums and all this, just so they can try to figure out what are they asking. Literally, because I talked to them, and that's what they've done. So Verizon, it's on you. You literally stamped on the back saying that it's your device. And now you complain that you had to pay your engineers to do really involved Google searches to try to walk someone through helping out how to troubleshoot the device. So that's on you. So I don't know if Verizon will ever guarantee it, but I could tell you that as of I'm doing this, I haven't seen AT&T officially put them on the whitelist, and I believe that's politically motivated. Well, that's a very long way to explain that one, right? Let me go to the next one up. So next one up that's my comment. So let me go to Ryan Croft Pierman. I would love to see a Trump phone that is made in the USA and uses a new free speech OS. Well, I'll tell you this much, Ryan, that the closest thing to a free speech OS would be a de-Googled Android, pure Android. Okay, and you can get that. It's available today. I think what you mean is something that's not censored. So here, for all of you that love using app stores, I want to be very, very clear here. If your favorite free speech application is on the App Store, so now I'm talking about X, I'm talking about Parler, let's throw Discord in there, even Telegram, okay? Signal, they are not free speech. Because in order for these applications to be on the App Store, these developers of these services need to comply with the content moderation and censorship requirements of said app stores, Apple or Google. So they have to comply. That's why some of these services let you install the application outside of the app stores. But a lot of you only know it as app stores. If it's on the App Store, how am I using it on my phone? With Android, you can sideload. You don't have to get it from the App Store. An example, Minds.com, a decentralized social network out there. You can get it through the App Store, but it's censored. You want it uncensored? Download it directly from Minds.com. Unplugged, they're not on the Google Android, the Google Play Store, but you can go to Unplugged.com and download it from there. Not censored. Gab was kicked out of the app stores, and Gab was told, you want to play ball with us, you want to be on our app stores, then bend the knee to our content moderation. Gab refused. So you won't find it on the app stores, but you can install it as an application through the web on your phone browser on your phone. So if your app is on the app store, none of those apps are free speech. Telegram, you can get it outside of the app store. Signal, I think you can get it outside the app store. But if they're exclusively on the app store, none of those are free speech. But as the operating system goes, as far as that goes, you can have your free speech OS right now, whether it's an unplugged phone, whether it's a Lineage phone without micro G, whether it's Graphene OS, whether it's Calypso OS and other privacy focused OSs out there, because more of those do exist. You can get it today. Your gripe is going to be that your apps are not there. So, yeah. And can you actually build a phone that's made in USA? The closest thing to it would be the Liberty phone that is powered by a Linux OS. I don't know if it's Ubuntu or something like that. I covered it on my review of the Unplugged phone. And that one is, they sourced as many parts from America, not the semiconductor chips. The SoC had to be sourced out of this country because they're not built here. And even though this current administration approved to have semiconductors built in the United States, the unions are getting in the way. DEI is getting in the way. Will we ever see the light of day with these semiconductor chips? Will we have them in 10 years? I don't know. And if when they're rolled out, will they be any good as what's out there? Samsung builds their own semiconductors. They're called Exynos chips, and they also supply some of the Google Tensor chips. In the case of Qualcomm, there's a Snapdragon processor. Huawei had to build their own chips, so I believe theirs is the Kirin processors, if I'm not mistaken. Then you probably heard them from Taiwan. Taiwan has Qualcomm comes from Taiwan. No, Snapdragon, and so does. Oh my goodness, what's the name? MediaTek. MediaTek's the other one. So there are other semiconductors. They're just not all that good as the standard, which we look to, and that's the Snapdragon processor for Qualcomm. So we'll see. All right, on to the next one. This one is from my interview with Ryan Patterson. And remember, these are all just questions from Rumble. So this is my interview with Ryan Patterson. This one was published on April 23rd. 2 comments here. All right, let's sort by the newest. I could look at the oldest. Those are mine. Okay, the only one here. This is from Ike WSO. Great video, refreshing to hear from the company. Can't wait to see what this company does in the future. That was from 22 weeks ago. And someone on YouTube recently commented about that too. It's like, hey, Andres, why don't you ask them to see if maybe they'll be expanding their services to laptops and things like that. Well, that'd be interesting. I could tell you that their Unplugged Messenger is more of a universal thing. It's not just based on the phone. So the Unplugged Messenger, while it is on the Unplugged phone, I have it on my iPhone and I have it on the Galaxy Fold 6. I also have it as a web-based portal because I use it on the web too. And you can sign in through all these sessions. You don't have to have it just on the Unplugged phone. It's just that if you have the Unplugged phone and you bought it, you get 1 year to have access to all the features. In the case of non unplugged devices, you get 2 weeks for free. Then you pay for the service to unlock all the features. Otherwise, you get a more limited experience. I mean, they got to monetize it some way, right? They got to pay for these servers. Okay, so it's not a bad business idea. All right, this next one over is my first of these series of Unplugged Q&A questions. I did not anticipate this was going to become a series, okay? But again, for those of you that see my other ones, until I see a proper forum, this will be the forum, and I'll answer what I can when I can, and whatever I can't, I'll be your voice to ask those that can. Okay, so All Things Unplugged was my first one. That was back on April 26th because I just finished interviewing Ryan Patterson. I just finished unboxing it, and I was anticipating and teasing my review that was upcoming. So I covered what I could with respect to that. So these are mostly my comments, but this one is yeah. So this is from Bruno66. Can't wait for the review. I've had this in my cart, pondering whether or not to purchase it. Was hoping that someone would do a decent review that will help my decision. And I responded to that comment. Like, I've been hard at work on it, and I expect to post my review today. So eventually I did. So now let's go to the Unplugged phone review. Convenience or privacy? And let me share this tab. Let me sort the comments. Let me get to the bottom. And this was from JLou714. Andres, do you know if there are commonly available protective phone cases for this device? I did respond to that, and I did say yes. Where's the other case? Yeah, I have the ballistic nylon case right here. I took it off the phone because it makes it like a brick, but there's this one, then there's the hybrid see-through. So yes, there are. And also the phone, remember, it comes with the screen protector, tempered glass screen protector. That's why it looks fatter off the body of the phone. That's a tempered glass screen protector that comes in with the device pre-installed, so you don't have to deal with it. I did take it off for science just to see how that would feel like. But yes, so there it is. Okay, let's see. And those are all available at unplugged.com. This is from Surge1847. Probably too deep for me. Just saying. I was looking for a pros and cons video, and I did say, well, I did do chapter breakdowns, and you can go to the pros and cons by forwarding to, and that was the minute mark 29:46. Okay. Now this other comment is from DMR75. Thank you for this very well done and detailed review. After 2 years using a Pine Phone Pro, I am now ready to move on. This review is very helpful. Hey, cheers to you. you're ready. And this was 7 weeks ago. If you're seeing this DMR75, let me know in the comment section of this post how your experience has been if you did get the phone, because you're coming from a Pine phone. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you already know what you got to do with an unplugged phone. And you can check my other resources if you need some assistance with some of the tech stuff that comes or doesn't come with the unplugged phone. Alrighty, let's move on to the next one. And after this, we got 2 more video posts left with comments, and I don't think they have that many. As you can see, there's not that many comments. By the way, there were a lot of people that were spamming my videos here with comments. I don't see them anymore, so that means Rumble went through and cleaned them out. Thank you very much for that, Rumble. Okay, Max Edison, is that it? I'm gonna assume it's Max Edison. So I tried to transition from iPhone. The support doesn't answer me for several days. They say they'll email and nothing. You almost saved me, but had more questions. Any advice? Thank you so much. I did respond to this one, I think. Let me see. I did. So you giving me you giving me an idea for a tech stream. My videos have been geared towards people that have used Android before, not Apple users. I might do one focused on that transition. And I did end up doing that. I have 1 volume of questions and answers of this segment devoted only for Apple users and shown them what they must do if they're transitioning, because really, you guys have it the hardest. You've been in the walled garden in that cult for so long, like, oh my gosh, what do I do once I step out of these walls? You know, so yeah. So then I did respond with these other things, like, what kind of questions do you have? I've done 2 videos for first-time users, 5 things to do first, and the other one was what's in the App Store. Those are the very things that I had to help out. I hope that worked out. And I did say, are you new to Android? Then I had to repost it again. This is from iHaze. Okay, this is my unplugged phone is just an expensive paperweight. I need help. Is there an unplugged online community? I can only message people that have an unplugged device, and I don't know any. Are there any news services on Unplugged? Can we watch podcasts on an unplugged phone? What universal messenger service have unplugged phone folks find works best? Signal, WhatsApp, so many questions. So I did respond to this, and I was like, hello. Signal, WhatsApp, WeChat, Line Chat, and Telegram all work. Social media apps work. Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and many other podcasts work. So like various news apps such as streaming like Rumble, Locals, Blaze TV, Epoch Times, and more, they all work. So I hope that one answered that question there, because I know it's new to a lot of people. But I'm gonna, with respects to this, I think someone else asked me, so I'm gonna save the response for that. I can only talk from Unplugged Messenger to other people that use Unplugged Messenger. So let me go over to that one. Let me see. This one's from my What's in the Unplugged Phone App Store. This other one that I just finished reading was from Reading More of Your Unplugged Phone Comments, Volume 3. This other one is Volume 4. So let me sort them. Newest. Okay, Appreciate Phillips. I want to give big thank you. Appreciate Phillips. I appreciate you. Okay, next one up. This one doesn't have an avatar. Bill Oncho. I really like the phone, but I use GPS navigation a lot. Have you tried driving with it? And I responded. It's like, yes, I highlight a few apps at the 29-minute, 29-second mark. Which map app are you using, if any? So here's some response. He deleted it. But I was using Google Maps. It used to be the only one that would display in English, but I tried Here We Go, thanks to your video, and now I'm switching. Thanks. All right, that worked out. Awesome. You actually inspired my next stream. I will be explaining to iPhone users how to switch to Android. So I was getting more and more support and realizing that I need to help iPhone users, especially some of you have been asking me, and I did cover that recently on other recent posts about this, with how do we do the navigation stuff, because I did run into that issue because of all the permissions are basically turned off. There's 2 permissions that happens with location services. So when you set up the phone, that's one of them. Location services, I turn them all off. So then there's the app. When you install an app, it'll ask, hey, do we have permission for location services? And even if you get permission, yes, but then the universal side of things, the universal settings on the phone might not. So that was tripping up my Waze, and it was tripping up my here we go. So I'm like, it's not finding where I'm supposed to be going. It doesn't follow me. Then I'm like, oh, that's probably why. So I went over, I toggled it, and now I had navigation, not a problem. So just letting you know, that's another thing to take into account with that. This is from Steers. Steers, thank you so very much for this question. This is what inspired this particular video when I realized, you know what? I need to do one exclusively for Rumble. You guys asked, I needed to go look. I had to manually look because there's no curation of comments like YouTube has, which is why YouTube is this. They have the engineers, they have the economies of scale, and I hope soon, some way, somehow, this process will be a lot easier with Rumble, because this was such an important question from Steers. Are the navigation buttons able to be used on this phone, or are we stuck with the swiping gestures? What this individual means is this is the swipe gestures. You know, you're swiping. There are no buttons. So in real time, I don't have the second camera for this, but let me type on my search navigation. And when you type in navigation, there's a section here that says system navigation. So then you get two options. The options being gesture navigation, or the bottom says 3-button navigation. And when you do that, voila, the buttons have appeared again for those of you that are used to using it. And you can hold home for assistant. So you're like, wait, assistant? There is no Google Assistant here. And you are correct. So now let me show you what pops up when I use it. I hold home, and now it's Copilot by Microsoft. That's ChatGPT. So if you're interested, you can map it to that too. I don't have to have it mapped to this. There's multiple other services that can work with this, such as the built-in Mozilla Firefox browser can be your assistant, and you can talk to it and get search results. So this one's Copilot. I have an account and I could use that. So you do have those options to make it what you want. That's why when I put up the review for the Unplugged phone, the question was convenience or privacy. Every one of us that have been on Google devices, everyone of us that have been on iPhone, that have been locked there for so long, are used to convenience because it's just there and it just works. Strip all that away, now you gotta do it manually. And for someone that comes from the BlackBerry world, believe me, I had to do a lot of that. And also those of you that have been on Windows Phone, or like the other users that had a Pine Phone, you know, that, man, Pine Phone, you're really coming from another ways, okay? That takes a lot more effort. So hats off to you. And with all that, is to say that it requires involvement, okay? And you can do that. And stay tuned, because make sure you hit the notification bell. I am going to do a live stream where I will be de-Googling my Google Pixel 7 Pro. So what does that mean? I'm going to be removing Google, and I'm going to be flashing a privacy-focused OS on it. That means turning it basically to like an unplugged phone. And can I do that? Stay tuned for that. And one of you, this is for Daniel Bai over at on YouTube, asked me about pros and cons during the recent premiere. I intend to highlight that before I do the flashing of the software, okay? All right, so now this next question is from Ike WSO. I think that's, you commented before, okay? Great video. One of my biggest questions before purchasing was what is offered in the App Store. I'm now going to buy one of these for sure. All right, you know, I didn't even hit a like there, so let me hit a like. And for Steers, who asked, I did respond yesterday, and that's what inspired this for me to do it. Okay. All right. So now on to the last one. Oh, yes. This is someone had asked this before in a different way. This is from my video answering iPhone users unplugged phone questions, Q&A volume 5. And this is the last one from Rumble. I didn't see any other questions as of this recording on the other one. This one comes from iHaze. What alternative do most unplugged users use instead of iMessage? That means they're coming from the iPhone world, and they got to use something else. Now, as I mentioned in the previous one, it might have been to this user's question that you can use Signal, you can use WhatsApp, you can use Unplugged Messenger, you can use Line Chat, you can use WeChat, Telegram. These things all exist. And if you don't want to use any of that and you want to do good old-fashioned text messaging, SMS and MMS, you can do that. So it's not like you have to use the Unplugged Messenger to communicate with people. The advantage of using the Unplugged Messenger to communicate with people is the end-to-end encryption. All of your communications between an unplugged you as an Unplugged user, through the app Unplugged Messenger, to another Unplugged Messenger user. Those are encrypted. That includes the phone calls, video calls, sending messages, sending media files, and all that. It's encrypted. Same thing with Telegram. Same thing with Signal. Signal's been hacked. Tucker Carlson's was hacked. James O'Keefe's was hacked. Unplugged Messenger is based on another open source code software. I think it's called Matrix. Because there's another one that exists called Element. I'm not familiar with Element. I don't use it. But there was also Matrix. And I believe that was the base code that inspired Unplugged Messenger. Okay, that's just my speculation. And with that, it's to say that these things do exist where you can have end-to-end encryption there. That doesn't apply the same for text messaging. Anybody could pick those off the air. Telegram, CEO Pavlov was arrested in France for not capitulating to whatever France wanted from him. And now he has. That's why they're releasing him. He bent the knee. We don't know what's going to happen with Telegram. People are ditching it. They're concerned now. And look what happened to Discord. Recently, they got banned from Russia and now Turkey. What's going on with Discord? Discord was never really a free marketplace. They ended up going the woke side by hiring DEI people, if I'm not mistaken, along with Twitch, to crack down on some content moderation that they didn't agree with. So just letting you know that these things do happen. And iMessage is probably one of the worst ones to use. Yes, it's fun for Apple users, but it's also Apple scanning everything. Everything you're sending, they're keeping it on their end. You're not sending it privately between you, even though they say it's encrypted. Yeah, encrypted for others outside of Apple, but Apple is keeping all that. And if they find something, whether it's anything that filters to iCloud, which includes iMessage, whether a picture or whatever, they don't like what they see, they can deal with you. They can even report you to authorities. It's in the terms and conditions that you're not paying attention to. So if you're using the AI there, Apple Intelligence, that is the worst form of AI when it comes to privacy and security. Well, security, they say it's secure. Oh yeah, we have these open source things. Yeah, but the rest of your code is closed behind a walled garden. You're the worst here. We trusted you with our privacy once BlackBerry went kaput, but now you become that which we all feared. One of the worst offenders of privacy and data. Okay, but I hope I answered that question. I try to answer it as effectively as possible. And I think, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is that. That was the last one I had to do. So let me just sign off by saying, go to TheAndresSegovia.com for anything about me, station resources. You can now see that I am on Play TV, which was recently launched by Parler. And I did leave my Big Short reaction there for people to check out. I did have to clean up some of the places that I was at because for some reason I can't stream to Kick anymore. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take Kick down. I'm not really there. But if you want to check out the main podcast, where you can get everything about me and don't miss out on any shows, you could definitely listen on any of your favorite podcast places here. And I'm enjoying Good Pods a lot. They recently launched another update. It's a more social way to do podcasts, and I do like that. So there's a lot of Q&A stuff that I put there because they do a question here that they allow others to see. I thought it's a fun way to engage with audience members. So if you want to check it out, go over to Good Pods and shout out to them. Thank you very much. Anyway, that's where I'll leave it. Thank you so very, very much. Follow me on Rumble at The TheAndresSegovia Show. This is what the landing page would look like. And if you still want to, let me pull this up now. Okay. So I've been drinking the coffee from Bean of Fire, the geisha roast, and I put in this protein coffee creamer on it, and it's an agreeable drink. It's not bothering me, so I am happy about that. Now I don't know what it would mean for the lactose intolerant. That's going to be interesting for those of you that are affected by that. But hey, I'll let you know if I run into any other issues. But so far, so good. But my preference is black, with maybe about an ounce of milk, and that's it. Just so reduces the coloration effects. Because I want to taste the coffee. I only taste the vanilla. But it's a good thing I'm a fan of vanilla. So that's fine. Anyway, I went on long enough. Thanks very much, everybody. And yes, I do have another one of these videos coming up because I didn't finish the YouTube stuff. And you guys have so many questions. And I love it. Keep asking. I'll cover what I can. And crossing fingers that I'll be able to get Eric Prince on here to answer the questions that only he can. The only way to know for sure is to stay tuned. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the notification bell wherever applicable. And for those of you on Rumble, the entire playlist of unplugged phone stuff should be in the description down below. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next one.